Move up.
Hi, this is Karen Harrison. Welcome to October 2021 Reiki Call. My website is karenharrison.net, and I have a wonderful guest with me tonight, Grace Lindsay. But before we start, if you have Reiki, let's power up our room with some Reiki energy. Okay. Draw whatever symbols on the four walls, ceiling, and floor that you want. And power up ourselves. Just going to draw the power symbol in front of me and small ones on each chakra, starting at the root. Ah, yeah, and pull it around. That feels good. All right. Well, I want to tell you a little bit about Grace. Grace is a Reiki master of Usui, Karuna, and Holy Fire, as well as a master Akashic Record teacher and practitioner. Grace has been a Reiki master and advanced Akashic Record practitioner for nearly 20 years and has taught both beginning and advanced Akashic Record classes for over a decade. So to get more information about Grace, you can check out her website at akashicgrace.com. That's AKASHIC. So Grace, can you tell us a little bit more about what you're going to talk about tonight and why?
Absolutely. First of all, I'm delighted to be the featured guest speaker tonight. So thank you very much for inviting me, Karen. It's always a delight to get to hang out with fellow Reiki practitioners and like-minded, beautiful souls and light workers. And we're going to do something a little different tonight, a little different in a couple of ways. We're going to focus on self-healing, which we all know as Reiki practitioners, that it's great to do self-healing with Reiki, but we're going to enhance that in two ways. One is that I'm going to open the Akashic Records. I'll explain more about that in a minute, but that's just going to deepen the energy. I'm going to open the records of the group, and that will deepen the energy and lift the vibration for even more enhanced self-healing. And I want to lead us in a guided meditation that I call body praise. I mean, technically it's body acknowledgement or acknowledging the great work that our organs are doing, but body acknowledgement just sounds not very, a little dry, not very enticing. So acknowledging the body really is in its own way praising the body. And the reason why I want to do that is because this analogy has come to me so strongly that, first of all, our body is amazing and it does so many amazing functions that our mind isn't even aware of. And it's very much like our organs and our body parts are very much like employees that work for a large corporation that has a bit of an absentee CEO. Maybe the CEO is not very engaged, maybe always in meetings all the time, maybe traveling overseas all the time, but the CEO probably doesn't make rounds very often among the employees just to acknowledge them and say, I see you're working really hard. And those employees are going to work hard for the corporation, whether they're acknowledged or not. But I know from personal experience, and you all probably do too, that if your boss were to come by, especially the CEO of the corporation were to come by and just acknowledge you're doing a great job, it makes you feel that much better. And so I have been practicing lately what I call body praise, where I'm just thanking my lungs for doing their great job and their heart for doing their great job. And I know it can't hurt, and I'd like to think it will help. So I'll explain more about that as we go forward, but that's in a nutshell what we're going to do tonight. I'm going to lead us in a guided meditation that's all about self-healing through Reiki, through body praise, and with the expanded energy of the Akashic Records open.
So can you tell us a little bit more? What do you mean by body praise and how is that helpful for self-healing?
Sure. The idea originally came to me in part because of the example of someone named Myrtle Fillmore, whom some of you may know is the founder of the Unity movement, the spiritual movement. It's actually a Christian denomination. Myrtle and her husband, Charles Fillmore, founded the Unity movement in Kansas City. It happens to be the world headquarters, and I'm pretty familiar with the movement. And the story goes that Myrtle Fillmore had tuberculosis when she was growing up, and especially as a young woman, her mother had it, her aunt or her sister had it. It kind of ran in the family. It was during that day and age, 100 years ago, plus or minus, when tuberculosis was pretty common. And she had the symptoms, and it was said that, she was going to follow in her family's footsteps with just getting sicker and sicker, gradually, slowly, with tuberculosis. And then she went to a spiritual meeting one night, and she heard one sentence by the preacher or the speaker that made all the difference for her. And that sentence was that as a child of God, she does not inherit diseases, or she was not born to inherit disease. And she realized, hearing that she had just been assuming that she was going to get sicker and sicker with tuberculosis because it ran in the family, and it was just, that was the expectation. And so she decided to change her mind there and then, and she started talking to her body and just basically, first of all, apologizing to her lungs and her body that she had assumed that the body was going to get sicker and sicker. And instead, she just started thanking her body for having the intelligence to heal itself and for having the ability to just keep getting better and better. She did that every day for a couple of years, and eventually she got over tuberculosis and was symptom-free the rest of her life and lived into her 80s, I believe. So what we're going to do tonight, of course, has no guarantee about healing a disease. But when I read that story, and it's a powerful story, I mean, everyone in the Unity movement has heard that story, so it's pretty common knowledge. It just struck me, why in the world would I not acknowledge and praise my own body in similar fashion? It gets me through every day, through thick and thin, through good days and highly stressful days, through illness and all kinds of things. Why in the world would I not acknowledge my body and acknowledge the intelligence that it has to heal itself? And that intelligence knows so much more than my mind does. And I just want to acknowledge it. It knows what it's doing, and it has the ability to do it. So as I said a minute ago, I think it certainly can't hurt anything. And we probably, none of us, spend enough time really just tuning into our body parts and our organs to just thank it for doing its job. So as basic as that sounds, that's why I'd like to lead this guided meditation on that tonight.
Well, that's cool. And then you mentioned that also you would be opening the Akashic Records, and how will that help with tonight's healing?
The Akashic Records is an energy field of very high vibrational energy, and it's such a it's very connected with the earth, and it's so high in its vibration and therefore so sensitive that it becomes a record of every soul's journey on this earth, because every soul, as it walks and thinks and moves, all of the thoughts and the intentions and the deeds emit an energy, and that energy then makes an indelible impression on this highly sensitive energy field that we call the Akasha. And that's how it becomes a record of every soul's journey in this life on this earth. And it's possible to access the Akashic record and to ask questions of your soul and so forth. And we're not going to do any of that tonight. We're going to be more passively just in the energy of the Akashic records. But I'd like to open it at the beginning once we begin, because, again, as with body praise, it can't hurt anything, first of all, to open a high vibrational energy field to just really what I feel is just enhance the overall self-healing. So that's my hope. Between the body praise, the self-raking that we're all doing, and then opening the Akashic record, we're just creating a really powerful energy field for self-healing that will be beneficial in whatever way it is. Reiki has an intelligence of its own, and it goes where it's most needed. So whether that's for a physical symptom or emotional or mental worry or anxiety or whatever it might be, it's my hope that by doing all three of these things, we'll just create a powerful energy field at the group level for more healing. And I will just be opening the records at the group level. There's no one's individual record being open. I'm just going to be opening the records of the group in the very beginning when we begin. And then it'll just kind of be on the back burner, but still hopefully a powerful container for us.
That sounds awesome. So, like, what body parts are we going to focus on?
Well, actually, I will start with the heart and the lungs, because that feels like a good place to start. But I'd actually love to ask anyone who's listening right now if you have any aches or pains that you'd like me to especially focus on, whether that is a body part like an appendage, an arm or a leg, or whether it's an organ, whether it's more at the emotional layer, whether it's more at the mental layer. If you all can just start naming symptoms, I'll write them down and I'll make sure I include them in the guided meditation.
Great. Well,
I had retinal detachment surgery, so I'd like to, for my eye, I'd like to have that.
Awesome. Absolutely.
and throat.
All right. Anything else? Yes, Christina?
The pancreas and the adrenaline glands above the kidneys.
Love it.
I have hives, skin, or allergies.
All right. Anyone else?
My left knee.
Say it again, Priyanka.
Left knee.
Left knee. Thank you. All right. All right. Well, that's a great list, and especially if I start out with the heart and the lungs, we're gonna have a full house. So,
Yeah.
Karen,
was there anyone else? Because you all are muted. If you wanted to add anything, you just need to unmute yourself. Okay. All right. Well, if any more occur to you, Grace, then I guess you can add them in.
Awesome. I will do that. Okay. Well, are you good if we just go ahead and dive in then?
Yeah.
So what I'm going to do, I'll tell you what I'm going to do before we actually begin. In just a moment, first I'm going to open the Akashic Records of the group. And just so you know, that prayer starts out, I open the records by saying a prayer. And the prayer starts out loud and it ends silently. And I'm going to be in the silence for just about a minute. And you will see me looking down at the prayer and not looking at the camera. And so you're welcome to have your eyes closed. I'll invite you to close your eyes if you want. And then once I say the records are now open, I'll just give us a chance to just kind of settle into ourselves and tuning in. I'll invite you to put your hands over your heart or your lungs in the middle of your chest. And I will start there and just praising our heart and acknowledging our heart and our lungs. And then I will just invite you to make my words your words. So you can just let my words flow over you, or you can repeat what I'm saying in your own mind silently, or you can have a whole different dialogue going on when you're talking to your own lungs or knees or whatever body part. And I'm also going to have some times of silence, because I think it's fascinating for each body part or each organ that we are acknowledging, to just ask that organ if it has any message for each of us individually. And so when I get to that part, for each body part, for each organ, I'm going to ask that question: dear heart, or dear lungs, dear pancreas, is there anything that you would like to tell me? And me being each of you saying that as well, tell me anything that's helpful for me to know. And then I'm going to be quiet so that each of you can hear that. And some of you may hear things and some of you may not. But I will say that it's not always that you, quote unquote, hear things. Our intuition speaks to us through all of our clairs, through all of our senses, and our clairs are those heightened senses. So be on the lookout for how your body might answer that question. Is there anything you'd like me to know from any given body part, through all the senses? So you might hear a voice in your ears say, yes, if you could, I'll make this up, eat more spinach, it might be helpful. I'm making that up. But it's very possible that you might just see an image in your mind as opposed to hearing something. It's possible that you just might feel a sensation like warmth or tingling, or ants in your head, like your crown chakra is opening. It's possible that a memory will suddenly spontaneously arise from long ago, something you haven't thought about in a long time. those are all ways that the intuition, but also the body speaks to us. So I just wanted to mention that at the beginning. When you're asking the question in the silence, just tune into how your body might answer, because it's not always through words or through a voice in your head, so to speak. So anyway, that's how we'll go through the hour, and then I will end it in time to give anybody a chance to either ask questions or share if you had any experience come up. And it is certainly my hope during this hour that you will feel something. You'll feel energy, that you might have healing or relief of a symptom, or an insight from the questions that we ask. So
I'd
any
like
other
to
questions
add
before we
something.
start? Yes.
I didn't know how to unmute myself, so I would like to add to the list. I've been having a really bad toothache.
Absolutely. Thank you for chiming in, Tammy. Happy to add to teeth and toothache to the list. Okay. Anything else? Any questions or anything else before we formally begin? All right. Then I'm just going to invite you, for every body part that I name, for you to either put your hand directly over that, if that's handy, like over your heart or your lungs, or if it's not so handy, the knee, I suppose, might be a little harder for some, or if there's another place that's hard to touch in the skin, underneath the clothing or whatever, then just visualize that and turn your Reiki on and start flowing it. And let's go ahead and dive in. I'm going to invite you to close your eyes if you're comfortable with that. Keep them open if you prefer. I'm going to close mine eventually. And I just want to start by just acknowledging how grateful I am that all of us are here, that each of us have made time on this busy evening in our busy lives to be here and tune in with each other while we also tune into our body. The whole reason why I want to spend this evening doing this is because I don't spend enough time tuning into my body, and perhaps that's true for many of you. And we all know that we can tune into our body and we can do self-healing with Reiki, and that's an important part of being a Reiki practitioner. And so why not just spend an hour tuning into our body with Reiki and with talking to our body? And so, having acknowledged how grateful I am for each of you and that we're here together, let's dive in, and I'll go ahead and say the prayer to open the Akashic Records. Feel free to call in any spiritual help that you like to call in. If you do, your Reiki angels, your guardian angels, your spirit guides. And I am calling in the masters, teachers, and loved ones of this group, the Akashic guides, who will be working with us this evening as well. So here we go. And so we do acknowledge the forces of light, asking for guidance, direction, and courage to know the truth, as it is revealed for our highest good and the highest good of everyone connected to us. O Holy Spirit of God, help us to know ourselves in this group in the light of the Akashic Records. Help us to see ourselves in this group through the eyes of the Lords of the Records, and enable us to share the wisdom and compassion that the masters, teachers, and loved ones of each of us in this group have for each of us. The records are now open. And so I just invite you to put your hands over your heart or over the center of your chest, if that's comfortable for you. And certainly get comfortable, whether that is leaning back in your chair, sitting up straight in your chair. If you decide you want to lay down on a couch or lay down on the floor or sit on the floor against cushions, I really invite you to get comfortable. So we're going to be in this position for a little while. And just allow yourself to settle into the energy. Settle into this beautiful field of energy, this portal that we've just opened by opening the Akashic Records of this group. Each one of us in this group is contributing to the energy of the group energy of the Akashic Records. We're all part of it. We're all contributing to it in our own way. And just see if you can feel that group energy. The word hive mind comes to mind. Hive mind, like beehives, are all in tune with each other, or a school of fish are all in tune with each other, and that's how they know to turn instinctively or to swim this way or that way. That's how bees communicate with each other. We've just opened a powerful portal of the Akashic Records, an energy field as a group. So I just want to give you a moment to settle into that. See if you can feel this group energy, this hive mind that we're entering into. And also have a chance to just settle into tuning into your body. This wondrous, amazing body. This perfect vehicle for our souls to be hosted in as we navigate this joyous journey of life on this 3D planet. This soul of ours that has so much higher wisdom, so much higher perspective from the higher dimension that it resides at, chose this amazing body to be the perfect vehicle to guide each of us through this very dense 3D energy on this planet, dense in relation to all the other higher dimensions, 4th and 5th and 6th and 8th and so forth. This body is perfectly designed to not only survive in this energy on planet Earth, but to thrive in it. And we're in such partnership, really a three-way partnership, each of us, a three-way partnership between our soul and our conscious mind and our body. Our body has its own intelligence and is certainly animated by that life force that is our eternal essence, that is our soul. Yet it also has its own amazing intelligence. And then our conscious mind is more like that CEO of the corporation that I was referring to a few minutes ago. Our conscious mind is amazing for navigating us through this life as well, and especially navigating through all the external things that we need to navigate in this life. And rightly so, it's very focused on the outer world. And yet for so many of us, then we forget all about the inner world because our body just takes care of it all. It beats the heart and breathes the lungs and circulates the blood and doesn't need our conscious mind to remind it of it. And thank goodness. Not only because we couldn't do that while we're asleep each night, but just because we're busy doing other things. But I think all the more helpful that then our conscious mind takes time during this little time we have this evening to be the CEO who just walks around the corporation and just acknowledges a few employees, just says, I see the great job you're doing. And if we can power up our Reiki and be sending Reiki to ourselves at the same time that we're acknowledging these body parts, then how sweet is that? We've got double and triple the energy flowing to it, triple with the Akashic Records open too. So let's start. Since we've got our hands over our chest or our heart, let's start with a focus both on the heart and on the lungs, because both of these functions are so critical to life. And isn't it amazing that our heart and our lungs can both beat and breathe for decades and decades without us really even thinking about it? How strong they are, how reliable they are, how consistent they are. And yet, if they were to stop for even 2 minutes, life would be over, which helps you realize how fragile they are, how vulnerable they are, as well as how incredibly strong they are. And when I focus even more in on the heart, it's just amazing to me to think that this muscle in our chest beats on average once per second. And if we live 80 years, 90 years, if you do the math, that is a whole lot of heartbeats, once per second for 80 years, 90 years, 100 years, however long we each will live. It's amazing that there is the energy, that there is just the intelligence to keep it beating, to keep it regular, to keep it healthy, that all four chambers of the heart are working together, that it's circulating blood from the tip of our head to the tips of our fingers down to the tips of our toes and back, nourishing each organ, enabling the blood to circulate. And that's just at the physical level. When you consider that the heart has so many other layers, the emotional layer, the mental layer, the spiritual layer, the electromagnetic layer, then it really gets to be mind-blowing. That our heart puts out an electromagnetic signal that others can perceive, even though the conscious mind isn't aware of it, but certainly the subconscious is, the superconscious is. That our hearts have the emotional depth and capacity to feel the highest highs of spiritual bliss, of spiritual union and connection with the divine, as well as the lowest lows of depression and shame and guilt and despair that humans can feel and typically feel at some point in their lives. That the heart has this whole spiritual component or spiritual ability to feel connection and communion and union with the divine, as well as with all kindred spirits on this earth, whether they be fellow humans or the spirit of animals or of Mother Nature. I feel like I could go on for an entire hour just in praise of the heart. It's just so amazing in terms of its depth, its capacity, its talents, its abilities, its intelligence. And it does all of that day in and day out, second in and second out, but really without us thinking about it at all. Sometimes beats faster when we need more oxygen, when we're running or exerting or under stress. It responds to us, it responds to our thoughts, it responds to our subconscious, it responds to others. And our heart responds to us when we put our focus on it. I once read a study, a scientific study. This just fascinates me, that they did a study with heart surgeons and found that if a heart surgeon, after he did open heart surgery, or after he or she did open heart surgery, if they were to give their recovering patient a stethoscope to listen to their own heart beating as it was recovering, that the heart actually healed faster than the group without doing so, without listening to their hearts through stethoscopes. And they found that just focusing on the heart is very healing to the heart. And so for me, that's all the more reason for us to put our hand over our heart, to send Reiki to our heart, to send acknowledgement and praise to our heart, and to just kind of revel in the wonder of our heart, this amazing organ that enables us to be alive and thrive, that enables our soul to have this human experience, enables our conscious mind to have this human experience in this beautiful body. And so I would just like to ask the question for each of us to just listen in the silence. You can make my words your words. Dear heart, is there anything you would like to share with me right now? Any message, any communication, any sensation that is, any image that is helpful for me to know about you? Is there any way that I can support you better? Is there just any communication at all you'd like to share with me right now in the silence? Whether you feel like you're hearing anything, any message, any communication from your heart or not, I know your heart is listening. Your heart is always listening to your thoughts, to your energy, to your essence, to your soul. I know it's listening. So I just want to say thank you, heart. Thank you to every heart and every body on this call. And likewise, I want to thank the lungs, that other amazingly critical organ, critical to life, critical to surviving and thriving. Just as with the heart, the lungs breathe in and breathe out for decades without us ever having to think about it. And even if we're shallow breathers, even if we don't remember to take deep breaths, except maybe when we're sleeping at night and are unconscious of it, even if we have breathed in chemicals in previous years on the job or in childhood, even if we have been exposed to things that are not the best for the lungs, our lungs just take a licking and keep on ticking. They just keep breathing in and out for us. They keep oxygenating our blood. They keep us alive in just amazing ways when you think about that we're just usually not that mindful of how fresh is the air around us, or are there toxins in the air that we can't really smell that might be affecting the lungs. Most of us just go through our days pretty busy and pretty focused on other things, and our lungs just keep on ticking. They just keep on breathing in and out. And as if that weren't amazing enough, that it's been doing that from infancy into adulthood, especially now in this day and age with the coronavirus around us and with flu season and all the other things that make us even more focused on our lungs. I just can only say thank you, lungs. How grateful we are for this amazing function, this amazing organ that does its job day in and day out with so little direction, with so little conscious thought on our part, keeping us safe, an important part of our immune system, contributing to our immune system. I just want to say thank you. And I'd also like to say, dear lungs, is there anything that you would like to say to each of us? Anything you'd like to say to me? Anything you'd like to say to anyone who is saying these words? Any way that we can support you as the conscious mind, as the CEO of this corporation? Anything you'd like us to know or be aware of in the silence? Thank you, lungs, for any communication, any sensation that you may have shared with each of us. And now let's move our attention up just a bit above the lungs to the throat. And I invite you to put your hands over your throat, if that's comfortable for you, just to self-Reiki the throat. The throat is such an amazing organ. I mean, every organ in the body is amazing. But when you think about everything that the throat does and everything that the throat represents, It's the voice box. It's how we not only communicate with the world, communicate with others, but it's how we speak our truth, which many of us have had a difficult time doing in our life, either because it wasn't allowed or it was suppressed or it was punished. That alone makes the throat an amazing organ. But then when you consider then in the throat is the thyroid and the parathyroid, such critical glands to regulate so many body functions, from the metabolism to all the other parts of the endocrine system, or interacting with all the other parts of the endocrine system to regulate our body, everything from our heartbeat to our weight to our mood to the condition of our skin. The thyroid is responsible for so much, one of the master hormone, master glands in the body. And then when you consider not only the voice box of the throat, and of course its ability to enable food to move from our mouth down through our esophagus into our stomach, and that's an incredibly important function in and of its own. But then when you consider the energetic aspect of the throat, and that it's the home of the throat chakra, and all that chakra represents about our will and our individualism, and again, speaking our truth, there are so many aspects to the throat that we just so often don't even think about, but it's such an incredibly important organ and function. And for all of those functions at the physical level, whether it's swallowing, whether it's the thyroid gland, whether it is the voice box itself and its ability to speak, to sing, to hum, to soothe, all the energy that comes out of our voice when we speak, when we communicate, and then all the important energetic functions of the chakra, the throat chakra. I just want to acknowledge that and say thank you. And if there's any healing that is needed of anyone's throat, whether it's at the thyroid level, at the physical level of the throat, or in the chakra, in the silence, I just invite you to focus on that healing. As you also ask, dear throat, is there anything that you would like to communicate with me? Is there any way that I can support you? Is there anything you need from me? Any way that I can help? Anything that's helpful for me to know in the silence? And then I invite you to move your hands, if you'd like, away from your throat and just up an inch or two to your jaws, over your teeth. We'll go ahead and focus on the teeth for a moment. Our teeth are another unsung hero. I suppose you could say that about every organ and every body part. But most of us really don't spend much time thinking about our teeth unless they hurt, or unless we should chip them or go to the dentist and get them cleaned or get a cavity. But our teeth really are such an important part of the human experience in terms of how they prepare our food for digestion in our stomach, as well as enabling us of all the variety of kinds of food we can eat. Our teeth are so perfectly well matched for the kinds of food that humans are designed to eat, and do such a great job of that first level of preparing for digestion. And then, of course, there's the appearance part and all the structure that they provide, the mouth and the jaws and the skin of the face. And the nerves that are in our teeth are so incredibly sensitive, as anyone who has ever had a toothache knows. When the nerve isn't hurting, we don't think about it at all, but boy, when it does hurt, we sure think of it. And so first, I just want to say thank you, dear teeth, for also serving us for so many decades, for chewing, for holding, for grasping, for biting and cutting, liquefying, for all the amazing functions that you do that we just kind of don't think about. Our mind is usually somewhere else when we're eating, other than really being focused on the fact that we're chewing and eating and grinding. And if there's anyone who has a toothache or who has any kind of dental pain from any kind of dental work, I just invite you to focus on that and send Reiki to that as we ask in the silence, dear teeth, yeah, is there anything that you want to communicate to me? Any way that I can support you? And now I'm going to invite you to put your hands right over your stomach as we focus on the pancreas. It's kind of high in the stomach. Just get the Reiki flowing to the beautiful stomach area in that pancreas. Our pancreas definitely qualifies as an unsung hero. Most of us just never think about our pancreas. And yet it has such a unique function in the body to regulate insulin, to send the right amount of insulin for sugar and all the digestive and blood health functions that involves. Most of us don't think about our pancreas until it tends to be overworked and really needing some external stimulation in the form of taking insulin or doing things like that. But it is a very silent and very steady hard worker. Works at every meal, after every meal, before every meal, at night when we're asleep, to regulate, to compensate, sometimes to overcompensate, perhaps sometimes to undercompensate. Our pancreas is amazing. It's something that uniquely makes us human. It contributes to our unique human design, and it's just a critically important organ for each of us. And I just want to say thank you, pancreas. Thank you for the job that you do, especially since I just don't think about my pancreas or its function very often. If there's anyone who has any concern about their pancreas, either due to diabetes or pre-diabetes or concern about diabetes or whatever that might be, any of the things that are involved with the pancreas, I just invite you to focus on that in the silence as we also ask their pancreas, is there anything that you need from us? Is there any message, any communication you want to share with us? And now I invite you to move your hands to your adrenal glands. If you can reach in your back, if you put your hands on the small of your waist and then just rotate them in the back, the adrenal glands are right around your waist. They sit on top of your kidneys. Another unsung hero organ, or gland, I should say. The adrenals are just such hard workers. They're so involved in our stress response and in pumping cortisol and the ability in adrenaline and the ability to give us the surge of energy that we need to run away from the saber-toothed tigers in our ancient days and to just get us through all the stress of these modern times when we're not running from saber-toothed tigers, but certainly are running from or toward deadlines and buses and so many other things. Our adrenals and our adrenaline glands are just tireless workers that just, like the pancreas, just work day in, day out, like the thyroid, making those hormones, helping to regulate our hormones in our body, doing its best to stay on top of the stress and anticipate everything, sometimes overcompensating, perhaps sometimes undercompensating, but still doing its best with its own innate intelligence to regulate and respond to what's happening in the body, what's happening outside the body that it's responding to. If you think about everything you go through during the day from the perspective of the adrenaline glands, it's pretty amazing in terms of how it sees incoming danger and how it then ramps up to respond to it. And for all of that anticipatory work as well as actual work, I just want to say thank you, adrenals. Thank you, adrenaline glands. You are amazing. And I wish I gave you more attention ongoing, but I at least want to give you attention right now and just say thank you for all that you do. And in the silence, if there's anything that you would like to share with me, with any of us, I invite that. And now I want to move our attention to the skin. And you can touch anywhere on your body since it's all covered by skin. But especially if there's any part of your skin that's having any kind of an ache or a cut or a wound or a rash or anything like that, that especially is impacting your skin, I just invite you to just through your focus.
Grace, I think we lost you there. And
Yeah, she will be back though.
she'll be back. So in the meantime, just focus on your skin and tell your skin, I love you, skin. Thank you, skin. Thank you for protecting me from ticks and bug bites. And thank you for holding it all together. The skin really holds it all together. And it just does such wondrous things, breathing in and breathing out, and taking care of our whole body. It's the largest organ on our body. We just acknowledge and appreciate the skin with thank you, skin. And so just take a moment to ask your skin if there's anything it would like to communicate to you. And now, as I'm thinking about the list that Grace went over, I don't think that we have covered the eyes yet. Is that right? We haven't gotten to the eyes?
No, eyes and knees also there. Mhm.
Eyes and knees. Well, let's go to the eyes. And let's just give some loving Reiki to our eyes and acknowledge the eyes for the gift of sight, the gift of clear vision. And we are grateful to the eyes for all that we see. And we affirm, I see only love. And we send healing to the eyes and appreciation. The eyes allow in light in all its form. Beautiful light, spiritual light. And the eyes are thought to be the window to our soul. As you look into the eyes, you recognize your friends by the light and the love in their eyes. So we say thank you to the eyes. Thank you for all that you do for us. My eyes are healthy, well, and comfortable. And take a moment to ask your eyes if there's anything they would like to communicate to you. And now let's move to the knees. And place your hands on the knees. And the knees enable us to sit and to stand, to bend and to move. We appreciate our knees for its ability to carry us forward in life. And the joints are so important, the way they flex and bend. We are grateful to our knees. Our knees are the bee's knees. I love and appreciate you knees. You work wonderfully. You're flexible and strong, healthy and well, comfortable. All the muscles and tendons and everything from the kneecap to all the parts that allow you to work so perfectly. We are grateful. We love our knees. And take a moment now to listen in and see if there's anything that knees would like to communicate to you. Now, were there any other body parts that we missed? Okay, I think we covered everything that was on our list.
Karen, this is Grace. I just got on.
Okay, is this
Can you hear-
Grace? Yes.
Yes, it is. I'm so sorry. My not only did I get kicked off Zoom, but my computer just completely lost internet, and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for that. But I was able to call in, and so yeah, we were. I was right on schedule to be almost done. The only other thing we were going to talk about was the left knee, but I know it's getting close to the time to end the call.
Well,
So
while you were gone, we covered the eyes and the knees.
oh, great. Okay, well, thank you for that.
So I think we covered
All right.
everything. So I think we're ready just to move into wrap up and to see if anyone wants to share anything about your experience with this body self-praise meditation with Reiki and the Akashic Records open.
Yes, I'd love to hear if anyone has anything to share.
Okay, Christina.
I go. Okay, from the heart. In my vision, you know, when we were talking about the heart and our heart is pumping, I saw like, you know, by the indigenous peoples, by the Native Americans, you know, how people were living up in the mountains, and I saw it was like the blood. It was like going up the mountain, down the mountain, up the mountain, down the mountain, like the blood works through the heart, you know. And for the lungs, I saw a big tree. It was totally expanding, and I got so above, so are beneath, you know. So the lungs are expanding, getting all that beautiful fresh air from the lungs in. So that was kind of what I got. And for the knee, there was special exercise and warm compresses.
Nice. Okay,
That's
great.
terrific, Christina. You're very visual.
Yes. Anyone else like to share your experience?
My experience was really very positive. I got a lot of feedback that things are going well. So I kind of appreciated that, because sometimes I kind of worry myself, you know, needlessly. And so I found this kind of uplifting. I really, really like the whole idea of this, and I like the story of it. It was a good experience, so thank you.
Thanks, Carolyn.
Oh, that's beautiful to hear.
Okay.
I had a,
Go
I
ahead.
had an interesting experience, if you can hear me.
Yes.
My niece thanked me for the fact that I invest in good cushioning shoes. And that was kind of a surprise, because I do definitely try to get supportive, good shoes. So that was interesting.
Great. Okay. Anybody else?
I had an experience with the heart that it's more of the emotional thing, not really a physical thing, but I just heard my heart saying, let go of fear, because fear paralyzes me. And it's kind of a thing that I am working on. So I guess it's a good thing.
Yes, that's a great thing to keep in mind. Yeah, thanks. Anybody else? Well, I'll share. I was just feeling the energy of it all, and it's feeling very relaxed. Yeah, felt great.
That's beautiful. Love to hear that.
Yeah, I think you could talk my body to sleep, Grace.
Well, you know, typically an employee in a company just can't be thanked enough or can't be praised enough. And so I think that we just can't thank or praise or even acknowledge our organs and our body parts enough. And so it's something that I've been trying to make more of a conscious effort to do and actually plan into my daily schedule, which is why I was delighted to be able to lead a guided meditation on it. So I want to thank everyone for your time and attention and just tuning in. And I'll go ahead and say a prayer to close the Akashic Records. Our time is drawing to a close on the call. And I'll say that by reading a closing prayer. I would like to thank the masters, teachers, and loved ones for their love and compassion. I would like to thank the lords of the Akashic Records for their point of view. And I would like to thank the Holy Spirit of Light for all knowledge and healing. The records are now closed. Amen. The records are now closed. Amen. The records are now closed. Amen. And certainly I want to thank Karen for hosting this time and for each of you for showing up and each of your amazing, wonderful bodies for doing everything that they do. You know, our bodies are amazing, and I'm glad that we could have a chance to just tune into them for a little while.
Well, thank you, Grace. And if anyone would like to contact Grace for Akashic record readings, Akashic record classes, or sessions with Reiki and the Akashic Records, you can do so at www.akashicgrace.com. And was there anything else that you wanted to share, Grace?
Just so much gratitude for everyone. It's lovely to be on Reiki call with you all.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Thank you all for joining. I'm at KarenHarrison.net, and keep me posted about any topics that you would like to hear about. And we'll see about getting that scheduled because I want to talk about what you want to hear about. Okay, thank you all.
Karen.
Thank you,
Thank
Karen.
Grace.
Thank you, Grace.
Big hugs.
Thank
and
you, everyone.
everybody.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Grace. Thank you,
Right.
Karen.
All right, bye.
Thanks.